There he is. Good evening. Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Leslie Odom Jr. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing an artist that has inspired me for, something like 25 years, changed my life again and again. With his friendship and his keen eye and his caring heart toward me personally. He is one of the most clarion voices that I think we've had walking this planet. He is a singer, an actor, a writer, an activist, and an author. Ladies and gentlemen, Grammy, Emmy, Tony Award winner Billy Porter, and icon Stephanie Henry says. Samantha Davis says yes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, speaking of, sir, you and I have never talked pronouns. What are your preferred pronouns?
My pronouns today are he, him. It's a whole new conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm just sort of learning what that means. Yeah. I love this new space that we're in. I might be a they in a little bit.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm a he, him now.
But today
I'm a he, him.
I love it. I love it, and I love this book. I love you.
Thank you. I love you back.
But I love this book, and I love it because I've told you before, but I think, for someone, if you guys don't know, if you're not acquainted with Billy's story personally, his personal story, I really can only imagine that that a soul would be put through what you've been put through, the experiences that you've had on this plane. I think I can only imagine that they'd be given to you to help somebody else. If you were strong enough and daring enough and brave enough to survive it and to get your healing. There's just very few people that stand on the Venn diagram where you stand, people that have lost everything and become one of the biggest stars in the world. Someone that's been scorned and cast out, who returns with the elixir. Someone who's been abused and really, known, like Joni Mitchell says, seen both sides now. Yeah. So that place that you sit, there's so many people that you can help and heal with your story. I'm so glad that you've decided to give us this, that you were this brave and candid with us. Can you talk to me a bit about this past year and the coming together of this book?
Yeah, I was approached in 2014 by a book agent by the name of Jim McCarthy, and he saw my off-Broadway show While I Yet Live, which was playing off-Broadway in 2014. And he said to me, I think there's a memoir in you. And I was like, I'm too young for a memoir. And then he explained to me that a memoir is different from a biography, and that a memoir is about a moment in time and, a theme and whatever. And so I sort of set out on the path of, I never thought about it, and I set out on this path to sort of maybe challenge myself because it scared the shit out of me. And I've always been the kind of artist where if it scares you, that's probably what you're supposed to be doing. And so, that was 2014. And it wasn't, and I did the book proposal, we put it all together. And I was having a really hard time getting into a rhythm of the writing of it. Like I was just having, I didn't, It's like, yes, overcoming adversity is the
Right.
theme. Yes, yes. And where's the specificity in that? Where's the laser focus
Yeah.
of that? What is it actually really about? And it wasn't until the COVID of it all,
Right.
and I was sitting in my home and I was looking at a blank computer and going, what is this about? And I was watching the news one day and I was, as I do, at the foolishness that is going on in this world. And I said, I'm one of those people that sort of, sits and watches the news and screams at the television like my grandma used to do. And so one of the things that emerged from all of that ranting was the feeling of complete unprotection. Like the feeling that our leaders were failing us again. And as a 52-year-old man who lived through the AIDS crisis, I had seen this before. And I was very triggered. Every single day I was triggered. And I was like, what is this about? What is this about? This energy has to go into the book. This is the energy that goes into the book. And then one day the title came, Unprotected. Unprotected Billy, me in the micro for my whole life. And then the larger sort of broader scope of it is we as a people are unprotected. As a species, we're unprotected. And how do we get to a space of healing our old traumas or traumas, period, right? So that the theme then popped out. Oh, overcoming adversity, healing my trauma through my art. That is what I've been doing the whole time. That is what I've been doing the whole time. Unprocessed, unmonitored by a professional. It wasn't until I got into trauma therapy during this time that my trauma therapist was like, oh, wait, you've been doing this work your whole life.
Well, I mean, I hope you'll share a tiny bit about the actual process to get the words down on paper. You guys, you can order your book now from Barnes and Noble. They said, I believe it comes within a week or 2 weeks. I'm sure you can find signed copies of this. Nobody even told me that you can, but I'm sure you can. Billy Porter was signed.
Barnes and Nobles.
Come on.
Barnes and Nobles. Listen to me.
Come
Barnes
on
and
now.
Nobles. Barnes and Noble. That's such a Black thing. Barnes and Noble. There's no S. We have plates that I have signed, and you can order through Barnes and Noble, and you will have a signed copy.
That's right. It'll be. Thank you, Sylvia. I see you. Stacy, I got you. Yeah, these will come within a week or two, they said. But I'm hoping that you'll share a little bit about the actual process of writing it. You mentioned the trauma therapy. Did you always know that would go hand in hand, therapy and writing the book?
I didn't. And the thing was that we started down this quarantine path. The world stopped so that I could heal everything. I don't think that I ever would have stopped.
Right.
Right? Because I never had that knowledge or understanding, the knowledge of self-care or balance or boundaries in any way. That's just not where I come from. So it was, it was an interesting space to be in. And my husband introduced me to my trauma therapist, and we just started working really intensely, like 4 hours a week, really just trying to unpack these blocks in my life, these traumas that weren't going away.
Mm.
And, I had gotten myself to a sort of layer of healing, but there was so much further to go, so much deeper to go. And I understood that. And I needed help doing it.
Mm.
And so I was trying to write the book.
Mm.
And I didn't make the connection about writing the book with the trauma therapy till I was in the trauma therapy. And once I got into the trauma therapy and started doing that work, then the book started coming more consistently to me.
Wow.
And so it was as if I was like working it out and then writing it down, working it out and then writing it down. The gift of being an artist is so profound, because we have a space to go to where we can explore these types of really emotional spaces, and they can be very dangerous, if not handled properly. One of the things I talk about in the book a little bit is, this idea of my mind, like losing my mind.
You talk about worrying about that. Yeah.
Because I can't move through something and it haunts me so much and for so long. Will I ever have any peace? Will I ever have peace? Will I ever just be able to breathe? Will I ever be able to connect sexually with someone who I love? Will that ever happen? Whew. And to talk about it
right
out loud is to release the shame of it. And the thing that I discovered inside of all of this work and this journey is the shame is the silencer, and the shame is the murderer.
Yes. Those of us who've been lucky enough to know you for so long know the story of your abuse, and I am going to I know I'm going to have you read some passages tonight. I'm not going to have you read any of that because I know what it costs to write that. So you got can read about that, the specifics of that. Before I ask my question, I do want to say that they have clarified everyone. How about this? Everyone who has a ticket to this event tonight is getting a hard copy of Unprotected. So we don't even gotta, y'all already bought the book. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. It's coming within a week and a half. So my bad. You can buy some more copies for Christmas if you like, but you already bought your copy. But I'm following this conversation where it wants to lead, but where it wants to lead. All these years, Billy, and after the trauma therapy, what can you, I remember this one time you told me, this isn't even in the book, I'm gonna tell you something that, because there used to be a thought of like that abuse can make a child gay.
Right.
And you told me in conversation, you were like, I was abused because I was gay.
Right. Already.
Right. So it was, what can you tell us though, really about abuse, about the nature of abuse, about what can you, I'm sure we have I don't know how many people we have here, 166 people here. There's people here. Audible version comes out on the 26th. I see you, Samantha.
I don't know about the 26th. We trying to get it together, y'all. I'm trying to get it together. Daddy's busy. It's coming out. It's going to come out. But I'm just getting over COVID and my voice was horrible. So I was working on it today.
Laura
I
said,
was
take your
working
time.
on it
You know,
today.
and in the book, you also, you mentioned even about the way the abuse stopped, that
Mhm.
sort of had, because it stopped so suddenly and simply in a way,
Yeah.
of course, but all these years later, essentially, we can't find really more of a seasoned expert on abuse than you. What can you
Mhm.
tell us about the nature of abuse and cycles of abuse?
Yeah, the cycle part, that part, it is so rampant in our culture. And the shame, once again, is the silencer, once again. And so then we don't talk about it. And so then it continues to repeat itself.
Yeah.
And it's only when one can be connected to understanding that speaking it into the world, speaking it and talking about it out loud, no matter who it hurts, no matter what happens as a result of it, right? Because it's about stopping that cycle. We have to, as a community, stop that cycle. And you can't do that unless you speak it. You gotta speak it. And a lot of people don't want to hear it. And that's okay too. But we have to speak it anyway.
So that's powerful. That's powerful. And that's what you've done in the book. Really, I love what you said, that part of a larger reason for writing the book is so that you can tell new stories
Yeah.
yourself. You know what I mean? You yourself, because I gotta close this door. My bad. The wind is making it open and close. So
We at the
you know,
house, y'all. We at the house. These things happen at the house.
so I and your answer can be none, by the way. But do you have any words for the abuser?
That's a really interesting question. And right now, I don't, because it's not about the abuser. To have words for the abuser means that the focus is on the abuser.
Yeah.
And the focus of the healing needs to be on the abused, period.
Yeah.
I'm sick of talking about them. I'm sick of thinking about him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sick of thinking about that. I don't want to talk about that.
So
Him
since
in particular. You know what I mean?
Here's what I want to talk about.
What?
I'm loving that. Go to page 38 in your hymnal, please.
Okay, so I have to say, y'all, so, just so we know our history, Leslie Odom Jr., movie star extraordinaire, recording artist, star of all things, two-time Academy Award nominee, all of this mess. He was my student, y'all. He was my student. I get to say it out loud. He was my student. I saw him first. You're welcome, world.
Yeah, I'll tell our story in a second. But I
Okay.
would really love if Billy, if you would read us on page 38. On page 38.
He said, he texted me last week. He said, have a hard copy of the book available. I will be needing you to read some passages.
Yes.
And then he sent me pictures. Then he sent me pictures of Gayle King. He said it's gonna be very that. I'm letting everybody know this is a real friendship. This ain't no bullshit over here. This is family right here. So y'all are getting the real thing right now. Okay, 38. What you want me to read, baby?
Yes. And start with, and then it was. It's the third paragraph down.
Okay. And then it was the second Sunday in June, 1982. an annual date that in some circles would be referred to as Gay Christmas. I was alone in the kitchen, doing the dinner dishes while watching the Tony Awards on the small color television we kept on the counter. Tony Randall sat in a velvet high-backed armchair and introduced a scene from one of the nominees for Best Musical, Dreamgirls. Then, Jennifer Holliday, playing Effie, a singer ousted from the group for which she was the lead, emerged from the back of the stage. And when Holliday sang, I was struck into stillness. The back of my neck prickled, and it was as if I could feel the roots of my hair tingling. I cradled myself in a ball on the floor, stunned, my eyes transfixed on the screen. You want me to keep going? Okay. From the first few moments of her solo, I knew I was bearing witness to something extraordinary. Holiday's performance was a tour de force of depthless grief and vocal virtuosity. There seemed to be nowhere her voice could not go. She was a tempest in a tantrum as she growled and howled and keened and bellowed and squalled her way through her spurned woman's scorching blowtorch of a swan song. I had never seen anyone give so much to a role. Holiday's Effie held nothing back at all. I could hardly imagine the fearlessness required to wade so deep into what she knew of the agony in front of a live audience. It was at once an act of sheer will and utter surrender.
Okay, because I know a singer's plight, and you might have some stuff. I'm going to read this last paragraph for you.
Okay.
And yet there was something in her performance that left me lit with recognition. She sang the way we sing in church. She sang in the gospelian style I was raised in. She had taken that high octane, soul belting, full throttle gospel sound to the Broadway stage and brought mainstream audiences to ecstasies with it. I heard in the rapture of her audience a message expressly for me. I thought, this can be more than just an extracurricular, pleasurable activity in my life. I can do this musical theater thing too, and I can make a living from it. You know, and that was somebody healing you through their art. Correct. You know, and Correct. it's what you did for me. It's what you did for me. When I got to Carnegie, and one of my classmates said, do you know Billy Porter? And I was like, yeah, I know the name. They were like, have you heard Beauty School Dropout? And I know that show holds a special. We write about that in the book. It's a complicated moment in your life, but somebody put that on for me and it changed my life. Because I said, it had never occurred to me, Billy, that we could do this thing just like us.
Like us.
That I could sing in the theater the way I sing. I thought that I had to become someone else.
Right.
And even back then, you living as yourself, practicing your art as yourself, was setting people free. So I have a ton more questions, but look, we're already running out of time. So I'm gonna go to this Q&A. I'm gonna go to this Q&A. I'll go back to my questions Look, y'all better ask some good questions or I'm gonna go back to mine. Samantha, I see you living as yourself was setting people free. That's right, baby. He did it. He did it for me. I have to tell him. Okay. Kaimu. I hope I'm saying your name right. Kaimu Peneku. Billy, what advice do you have for an up-and-coming gay artist in a small conservative town?
Do it anyway. Stand on your own 2 feet and love yourself anyway. Those people need to see you in your truth. That's the whole point. You know, we were put on this earth to change things. Hold them accountable. whoever it is. You know, the one thing that we must always do is learn how to love ourselves first and free ourselves from the need for validation from the outside, from anybody, for anything. It starts from the inside of you. Please do not search on the outside for it in any way.
Amen. Melanie Pettigrew. I think I know you, Melanie. How you doing? Which process would you feel is more cathartic? Writing, acting, or therapy?
It's all the same. It depends on what you need in any moment. There's no either or. It's all, you know, whatever it is in a particular moment. It really shifts for me.
Hey, Bill.
And I know it's not easy not to care. Whoever that was, I know it's not easy not to care. That's the whole point. That's the journey. You have to get to the point where you don't give a fuck. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, but that's the only way. It's the only way. I'm telling you, you asked me for the advice. That's the only way. That's it. However you get there, that's it. For real, y'all.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
I'm
one of the only people that can call me Bill and get away with it.
No, I know. I got it from Ron Pennywell. I loved it in the moment when he said, "I never called you that." I was like, "Well, I love it." Don't call him Bill, y'all. Listen. He said, I said, "What are your pronouns?" He said, "Not Bill." Okay. I remember when you came back to teach at Carnegie. And you know, Billy, in 4 years, I had some excellent professors, y'all. And I learned so much. And not that it's a competition, because it's not, but the best professor that I had in 4 years was Billy Porter, when he came and taught a 16-week half semester course to my little class of 7 people. And it's because he was the first one that felt like, first of all, you didn't bring in any baggage, because you didn't know, you hadn't known us all those years to have formed opinions. You were looking at exactly where we were. Yep. And, you know, and your style was so refreshing and powerful, because you came from this is how you roll, but you came from the heart space that every single one of us had something to offer. That was not a question in your mind. That was not to be negotiated. It was, how do I get out? How do I bring out the best in you individually? Are you there? Oh no. Hello? Yikes. Oh no. Did we lose Billy or did we lose me? We see Billy, but he's not moving. Okay, great. Way better to lose Billy than me, just because you know, I mean, he's the star of the show. If y'all lost me, then I'd feel so bad. All right. The book is amazing. I know we'll get Billy back. Let me see. Maybe I can read something. He'll be back. His publicist will get him back. Somebody will get him back. You know, I love this story that Billy has on page 67. He grew up in Pittsburgh, and he encountered so much violence, not only in his house, in the street. You know, as a young Black gay man. He talks about this one particular time when he was gay bashed, and I love this story. Billy will be back, right? Somebody tell me. He'll be back. There he is. You're back.
Okay, there's a huge storm happening here in London, and the house internet just went out. So I'm on my phone internet, And I hope that that lasts. Okay. So what were you saying?
I was just talking about when you came back. I don't know where I was going with what I was saying, but I was just talking about you and loving you. Let me find another passage for you to read, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to fast forward a bit because if y'all can believe it, we are running out of time a little bit. You talk about, maybe I was going to make a parallel. You taught us as individuals. You saw what was special in each one of us. It was so major to me. You talk about Lee Cass, finding that in you at CMU, you know. And
well, you know, because one of the things that was, you know, we had great training.
Yeah.
At Carnegie Mellon. But at the time, one of the things that was detrimental to our growth as artists was this idea that you were supposed to be stripped down to the studs of nothing and become the same as everybody else, become neutral.
Right.
And I think that we've learned over these last 30 years that that's actually the reverse. Going to neutral does not mean losing who you are. Because who you are specifically is what makes you special. I'm not trying to be like everybody else. Yeah. I'm trying to be me.
Yeah.
And so I had been gone long enough to understand that part of the training and that fracture in the training. And so when I came back, I was like, yeah, no, sing like you. Sing like you. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about what they say. Don't worry about that covered tone. You don't need to sound like an opera singer. That's not how you sound. You don't need to sound like every other white boy on Broadway. That's not how you sound.
That's right.
You're welcome, Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're welcome. Right?
For sure.
You know, because I knew that one day our stories would need to be told with our voices. Our voices.
That's right.
Not us trying to fit into whatever the status quo was of any given time. You know what I mean? And so it was very special to me because it was in the teaching.
Yeah.
In that downtime for me, where I wasn't getting any work, it was in the teaching, it was in the giving, you know, that I grew the most as an artist myself. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, right, I'm talking to myself. I'm telling these people to do things that I'm barely doing myself. Be who you are. I was not succeeding being who I was in that way yet. I wasn't succeeding in the way that I wanted to yet. I wasn't being taken seriously as an artist yet at that point, but I knew that it was my truth that was going to get me there eventually, whenever that was supposed to happen.
Elizabeth, I saw that. We teach what we need to learn. That's very powerful. Billy, you preaching today. You preaching today. I want you to talk. I want you to go to page 155, please, in your hymnal. And you know, we talked about you guys will read in the book the same thing that I told you blessed me and changed my life about Billy in Greece. You know, he was having his own experience within that show. Can you read, Billy, on page 155, start at when the Tony nominations were announced?
Okay.
It's about four chapters.
When the Tony nominations were announced in May 1994, the best featured actor nominees were Jared Emick for Damn Yankees, Tom Eldridge, Passion, Gary Beach, Beauty and the Beast, and Jonathan Freeman, She Loves Me. To say I was heartbroken would not even scratch the surface in describing what it felt to be overlooked. They promised I'd get a Tony nomination. They promised this would make me a star. The production received 3 Tony nominations in total: Best Revival of a Musical, Best Choreography for Jeff Calhoun, and Best Featured Actress in a Musical, which went to the late, brilliant Marsha Lewis, who played the role of Miss Lynch. As devastated as I was in this moment, I was able to remember what my mother and grandmother would always tell me. There's a lesson in every triumph, but more importantly, in every disappointment. Find the lesson. Find the lesson. What is the lesson? Am I still reading?
You don't have to. A sense, because I don't want to look. I could hear you read all day, and that's what we're going to get those Audible copies as well. But then you go on to tell about how you got a ticket to see Angels in America.
Yes.
On Broadway, and
Yeah.
And comparing. So you see Angels in America, and you have this.
Well, let me just read it.
Go read it. Read it.
I'll just read it.
Read it.
This is the point that changed everything.
Go.
As soon as I had a free day off, I took myself on a date 1 block down from the Eugene O'Neill Theater, which sits on 49th Street between Broadway and 8th, to the Walter Kerr Theater on 48th Street to see a play everyone was buzzing about, Angels in America, Part 1, Millennium Approaches. When the curtain fell, I sat weeping in my seat. The house manager had to pull me out and escort me to the street. I was so moved because after watching the character of Belize, played by Jeffrey Wright with searing intelligence and without apology, I realized I had never seen an image of myself reflected back at me in any way, in any positive form, ever. Belize was a Black gay man who was not the butt of a joke, or the reviled one, or the one to be pitied or killed. He was the voice of reason. He was the spiritual and moral compass guiding all the white folks to some sort of peace in the midst of the storm that was our plague. I thought, this is me, and nobody knows.
Okay, well, listen. So now yes. Then you go on to say, my quest to align my art with my service started in earnest on that night. You say, you talk about Billy Wilson, that watching this reminded you of your purpose. Do you want to be a star or do you want to be an artist? Being a star for fame's sake is ego-driven. But being an artist requires stripping away ego and grounding oneself in service. Please just go to the end of this 157 and read this last little bit, and then I have a question. So this last page, 157.
157.
It would take decades.
Where am I going?
It would take decades.
I don't know where that is. Okay. It would take decades of hard work, rejection, and resilience to reach my ultimate personal goal. And I am proud to say that day has finally come. However, in that moment, I understood the work that lay ahead of me, and I dove in head first.
I mean, for you to, we might as well talk. Did it feel like Pose was the sort of the bookend of that moment, or is that what it?
Yeah, it was, I was in the middle of the AIDS crisis. We were all in the middle of that. I wanted to, this was important work. This was the healing work. And I was being presented as a clown everywhere.
Right.
There was only one space that people were interested in me being, me taking up space in, and it wasn't the one I wanted. And so I went and got the one I wanted. And 20 years later, I was cast as Belize in the first revival off Broadway of Angels in America.
Right.
Where at my audition that they didn't want to give me still.
Yes.
After I finished with a courtesy audition, and I knew it was, so I was prepared, right? Yes. My agent called me the day before, mad. You have to do 3 scenes. You got to calm down. There's one role. in the entire canon of everything that is me. It's 25-year-old play. It's a 20-year-old play. If I don't know the material already, that's my fault. I know every last word, what scene. And I went in the next day to a courtesy audition, and an hour later,
That's
Tony
right.
Kushner got up from the table with tears streaming down his face, gave me a bear hug and said, "You're the voice I heard in my head when I was writing this play all that 20 years ago." Said, "I know. That's what I've been trying to tell y'all. And thank you." Yes. You know, if you want something, be specific. Be specific about what you want out of this world. Be specific and go for it. Speak life into yourself. You can't wait for nobody else to do it because they don't know how. Nobody else knows how to speak life into you except you. That's what I've learned.
I'm gonna go back to these audience questions. Listen, I want to ask Ali Webb's question. Billy, as someone who uses words as vessels of memory, what is your process for how you go about getting
memory?
Yes. What is your process for how you go about getting into the creative space to hold and share?
Well, I was introduced to a book about 20 years ago called The Artist's Way. And I don't know if you guys know about it, but it is a brilliant, brilliant, that's another one of the spaces that changed everything. And one of the things that they talk about is just to not censor yourself. You know, we have to learn how to just get our ideas out on the page and not judge ourselves in the process. You know, then I went to writing school and they were like, writing is rewriting. And it's like, oh, right. Those of us who are perfectionists have to move our perfectionist ego out of the way because perfectionism is ego. So move that out of the way so that you can open up your space to be a vessel for whatever it is that it's supposed to be. You know, for me, it's like, it takes me some time to do that. And then I get in a groove and then it comes and then I can go back to it and fix it. Right?
Amen. Amen.
Because writing is rewriting, creating is recreating. Like you know, it's a hard space and it's not always easy. You know, like I said, somebody asked me to write a book in 2014. It's 2021.
That's right.
Just so we're clear, babies. I just got it.
Right. I mean, but you know, that's what's so remarkable about your life, Billy Porter, and about what you write about in this book and about what you've lived is because nobody can accuse you of taking the shortcut. Nobody can accuse you of taking the elevator, baby. You took the stairs.
I was just about to say that Jennifer Lewis quote. If the elevator is broken, take the stairs, goddammit. Woo. Take the stairs.
So, you know, like, so you took, I mean, none of it's been quick. None of it's been quick. So for you to get it, for you to get not only 20 years later, the role of Belize, but then your own Belize with Ryan Murphy's Pose. And then all of this other stuff, you know, it's just so satisfying to those of us who love you. I have a question from someone named Mary Martha Ford. I don't know.
Oh,
Billy.
Don't be answering her questions. That's my sister, y'all. Don't ask her question.
Listen, she's got a good one.
Okay.
She said, Billy, having been abused by your stepfather, can you talk about your relationship with your sister? What advice do you have for other survivors of abuse and how to continue a healthy relationship with your siblings if it is at all possible?
Yes. This is a part of the conversation that I think is the most important, you know, because for me, it was always about me living in a space of compassion and forgiveness. Because that man was my sister's father. And there was in no way, I never, ever, ever wanted to take her father away from her in that way.
Yeah.
And so I was very honest, and we've been very honest. Be honest with your siblings. Talk about it. Talk it out. Talk it out. We've been talking it out for 40 years. The whole time. You know, she is Mary she's my best friend. She is one of the strongest life forces in my life to this day. And it's because we were able to find a space to communicate, a space to talk about it without shame, without the silencer, without the murderer. We were able to stop the cycle.
I want you to go to page 97. This is the last passage I'm asking you to read, okay? You've made it. You've done it all. Thank you so much. Stephanie Johnson said, the shame is not yours. I love it. Stephanie Johnson.
Stephanie
okay.
Johnson. 97.
Okay. 97. I want you to start. It's toward the top of the page. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. It starts with, I remember seeing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I remember seeing my Broadway sister friend representing Frozen with a performance of Let It Go. And the businessman in me logged the moment. I actually said to myself out loud, somebody needs to say my name wrong at the Oscars. It's show business biggest night, the Super Bowl of the arts, if you will. I remember dreaming and scheming with my drama classmates back in the 80s while having Oscar watch parties, vowing to wear a gown instead of the traditional penguin suit. And here I am. The time is now. I thought I was joking. I never thought I would have the option of wearing a gown to the Oscars, but here we are. This is the moment the universe has been preparing you for. This is that moment to do all the things you've been claiming you wanted to do all these years. And as I was captivated by the breadth of Christian's design aesthetic of inclusion and diversity, it came to me. If the first shot the world sees of me is a close-up that looks like a traditional black velvet tuxedo, and then the camera pulls out to reveal a full-on antebellum hoot skirt gown situation, all the world's edges will be snatched. And snatched they were. Yes. And even with all of that, I never could have predicted the impact. I never could have predicted the impact that the image of a black cisgendered gay man in a gown at the Oscars would have. I now have to speak in my life in two halves, B-O, A-O. Before Oscar, after Oscar.
Perfect. That's all. Yeah. I mean, I think you said it all, but to have that moment on the world stage, to make this, because I understand something of that moment. You know, there are moments that we all have where you get to, and thank God, you don't have just one. If you're lucky in your life, there's a moment, where all eyes are on you. And whether it's at the family reunion or the company retreat, or, the day you go out, you open your door, the front door of your house, and you decide to step out as the truest version of yourself. And so the fact that you did that and it changed your life. I mean, the right person met the right moment. And anyway, what do you want to say about all that? What do you want to say about, if you want to say anything about the Harry Styles of it all?
The first thing that I am going to do You know, because first of all, I'm really famous. And I figured that out this week when CNN picked up a little phrase that I said in a story that, you know, like that's still new to me, y'all. So
It takes a second to get
it's
used
still
to.
new to me. I still don't, you know, the fact that I said it, you know. So the first thing is I apologize to Harry Styles, and I will do this in public because it's not about him. It's never been about him. It's not about him. What it's about are the systems of oppression and erasure that are in place all over this world, right? It's not even a question to anybody after having seen me change the game, right? The highest level of that game goes to a white, adjacently queer. I didn't know he was adjacent. I apologize for that too, because apparently he's non-binary. I called him straight. Sorry, yet and still, that is about the erasure of me. And for the first time in my life, I can say it out loud without ego. It's fact. It's fact. I changed the game.
Can I say that? Can I say this in support of a statement like that? Is like, it costs you being who you are, being who you are on that, being who you were on that Oscar red carpet. What everybody probably in our Zoom, our little friends and family here understand is like that costs you what, a couple decades of a living, everything. You couldn't. I mean, you know, Bill. It's all in the book, but like Billy didn't have a place to live. He didn't have, you know, because he was
of my queerness.
That's right. And
because of my queerness.
And so in this moment, it's just about we can't.
All I'm talking about is it cost me everything and it cost him nothing.
Yeah.
In the scheme of things, it's all good. And we're supposed to be having these conversations out loud now, right? Without fear of retribution or retaliation. I'm not mad at nobody. And the reason why I can have the conversation is because I have had the success. So I stand in the unique position of being able to call it out and hold people accountable. I was on the cover. The first man on the cover of Allure. I was the first queer man on the cover of Essence. I don't have no hard feelings. I'm working it out. It's cool, which is why I can say it like James Baldwin says, I love America, and therefore I must hold her accountable. I love all of y'all, and I gotta hold you bitches accountable. That's what we're doing now, honey.
Listen. We about to get up out of here.
Riled up at 1 a.m. in London.
We about to get up out of here. Listen, I have one final question.
Yeah.
With all that success and all that you and having written it down and told the truth again and again, freeing yourself from so much. Honest question: do you still feel unprotected?
Yes. I think that we as a species are in a space and time where there's no protection happening for us. And that's in the grand scheme of things. And I feel more protected because I've created a space where I have people around me and my chosen family and my family and all my friends. There are spaces where I do feel protected. And how we heal ourselves, right, is how we personally can get to a space where we can be of use, to find a place to protect. We have to be our own protectors.
Yeah.
And we have to have the presence of mind to be able to do that. And the only way we can do that is to heal.
Hey, listen, thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for writing this book for us. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your courage and your creativity and your and your willingness to pass it on, your willingness to teach. All those years ago, to me as a student at Carnegie, I've been hanging on to your coattails ever since. I'm not letting them go anytime soon.
Never, baby. Never, never, never.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Barnes & Noble, for hosting this event. Enjoy your books. Let Billy know what you think online.
Only if you like it.
Only if you like it, let them know.
I don't want no other shit.
Thank you, guys.
Leave with the bad notes.
All right.
I love y'all. Bye. Bye.